Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have an awesome episode planned for today, as we have never received so many questions from an audience beforehand. So this is going to be really cool, and I'm going to be asking all of the questions for the most part, in addition to the ones that I've planned, of course. And today we're going to be asking these questions to a magic-loving, gas station snacking book club member. She's an old soul living in Arizona who manages the Pro Physiques online program with over 250 athletes, and she's been competing for nearly 6 years, but this is her first year as a pro. Welcome to the show, Alexandria Ross. How are you doing?
I am here. I am doing so good. If I'm being honest, I am probably a little nervous. I've never done anything like this.
Wow.
So, yeah, this is my first podcast. You are popping my podcast cherry. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that.
You can. Yeah. Say whatever you want. I make every episode explicit because you never know.
Okay, good. I'll need that. Yeah, and if you can throw a filter on my voice, that would be great too.
I like your voice. I think everyone listening will be like, there's nothing wrong with her voice.
Oh, okay. I know. So I am doing so good. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome and just happy we're here and finally recording this. And I've gotten so far ahead with the episodes. I love it. And I'm realizing, wow, I should do like a housekeeping episode to let everyone know what's going on. So, but it's been awesome that I've had the opportunity to do this. And I'm glad that we're sitting down to chat today. So, of course, before we get into everything, I want to know, what is something you do or a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage?
Okay, so right before, I'm probably, if you've seen me at shows, you've probably been like, this girl is a freaking weirdo. Right before I hit the stage, I do this weird thing where I put both my hands up to the sky and like I close my eyes and I take really deep breaths and I just breathe. I remember reading this book and they said just kind of like doing that is called a power stance.
I knew you were going to say that. I was like, is this a power stance?
Okay, has somebody else told you about this? Because I thought it was crazy when I heard it. So I'm so glad it's not crazy. But
no, it's not crazy.
Yes, I do it. And I like, I don't know, I just kind of like visualize like putting all my little anxieties and stress in this like shoebox in my stance. And then I kind of just like pass it on up and just give it away and take a deep breath and then I go. So that is something I do every single time. And I'm sure people look at me like, what is she doing? But
now
reach for the stars. Yeah, but that's what I'm doing. I kind of get in my own head and take deep breaths, kind of calm down, and then I go for it. So that's my little ritual.
That's awesome. And it's definitely a powerful one because, psychologically, power stances have actually been proven to be really helpful. And when they put people through a kind of like a mock interview, like it was an experiment, right? So there's only so much you can tell the people who are in it, but also keeping it ethical. Anyway, that's besides the point. What they found was like the people who did a power stance, like 5 minutes before that they went into an interview or whatever, exuded more confidence, even if they had less skill or even if they were less prepared. So than the ones who didn't. So of course, when you do that, you're creating a confident energy in you. You're creating literally it's called power stance for a reason. So I imagine that shows on stage and that's helped you probably over the years. I mean, how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing that now definitely since I started last year.
Nice.
I started back up again last year in August, and I do it every single show. Yeah.
I love it.
It, yeah, I love it too. It helps me. I think everybody should try it. You knew a lot more about it than I do. I just know it works. So,
You know it works and I know it works, but you do it and I don't. So, well,
well,
maybe
you have the science though. So, hey,
yes.
that's good.
Yes, and as you know, we have a lot of questions that came from your followers, and I have a lot prepared too. So what I'm thinking is, and I thought a lot through this because now that we've got even more, what I was thinking is we'll start with the questions I've got prepared, and then we'll just kind of go through the questions you got. And I broke them up into categories for everybody who's listening. We're going to start with like more funny, like there's two funny questions. And
Oh
then
gosh.
we go into like a little about question, which is just one. And then, well, it's more than one, but the other one doesn't really have a category. Then we'll get into the eating questions related to eating. We'll get into questions related to prep. And then we'll get into questions related to cardio and training. And then we will kind of take it from there, and I might think of some extra questions to go along with it as we go. So we're just going to take this one for a ride, really.
All right, let's rock and roll. I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Cool. So, over the last 6 years or so of competing, what have you done to manage your expectations? And how did you learn that it was so important to manage your expectations?
As far as expectations of placings, is that kind of what I guess
Yeah,
we're talking about?
placings, winning, doing well, getting your pro card even.
Oh yeah. So, that is so funny. That's the first question. I actually, I, I think when I first started, I didn't have any expectations. I was so new, and it was just like I was going into it very blindly, and I loved it. That's all I knew. I remember we did call outs my very first show, and then I got off the stage, and I had no idea what happened. I got off the stage, I talked to my coach, and I was like, "What does this mean?" They were like, "You got first call out." I was like, "Okay, but what does that mean?" Like, I just had no idea. And every show thereafter, I think there was a time, I'll be honest, where I was like, I want this pro card, I want it, and I kind of did feel like bummed if I didn't get it, or I was right there. But I took some time off. I came back, and I can say with 100% certainty, I had a goal. I knew I wanted to be pro. I can tell you the exact feeling I felt right before I got my pro card, like that week leading up to it. But didn't have like I didn't really hold this super, super high expectation of like it had to be this show and I needed to do it. I was there for a completely different purpose, I guess. And I don't know if that makes sense. And at the pro level, oh my gosh, no expectations. I feel like I'm starting over every single time. I can say I go in there and I am just like, I want to just have fun. I do not expect to be where I land. And like, I am not kidding you. If you see me, like when they call my number, I kind of sometimes look down. I'm like, wait, are you sure? So I do. I have to double check. Like, wait, are you guys sure? Because I just know how competitive it is, and I do it because I really love it and it's fun, and that's just all I want is to have fun. It sounds so like cliche, but I swear it's true.
No, I love it. That's what
So
you'll remember too, like years from now.
yeah, I do. And it's like we have a team and we just make memories. So my expectation is just to have a good time and not get so caught up. Like I put myself in check, I self-regulate, and I'm like, I can't get so caught up in where I land because that's not the sole purpose of why I do this. So
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. And you mentioned you took time off. Did you do this
Mhm.
to make changes? And how important do you think it is to do this? And like, how can someone, I'm asking a lot of questions, but how can someone know how long they should take off to make those changes that you made?
Um, so yes, I did take about a year and a half off, and I needed it. I needed it both mentally and physically. I needed to be bigger. My body naturally just kind of wants to be a crackhead. Like it's kind of just that skinny fat kind of girl. And I wasn't improving what I was doing. I was kind of staying the same physically. So I needed that time off. And then mentally I did. I was kind of like I told you, I was starting to hold this expectation and starting to feel bummed about where I was landing. So I did. I needed to just kind of step back and reprioritize. I wanted to focus on my work. I wanted to travel. And I knew I would come back to it at some point, but I didn't tell myself when. And during that time, I actually started working for the gym. So I would see people competing, and I mean, I would love watching them get there, but even in my heart, I knew I was like, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. And then one day, like something just kind of clicked. Like, and I'm pretty consistent with my training. I like to train. I like to eat. But it was one kind of day. I was just like, all right, I'm ready, and I'm all in. And I had a different mindset towards it. Like I was all in. I knew I made changes, so it was a good time for me to start. So as far as when to take time off, for competitors, and if you mean time off, I think everybody does at one point. You can't physically be in a state of constantly dieting. And I think if you're doing the national circuit, or your goals are to become a pro, and you're kind of landing in the same place and you're getting judges feedback that's like add size or more muscle, I think you do need to really listen and take that time. So, but that looks different for everybody.
Totally. And
yeah,
it's taken you a lot of time to get where you are now. So from that time you've taken, from the trial and error, from that time off, even just the consistent effort you've made, what are some things that you have gained from that?
I've gained a different kind of perspective towards the sport. I've gained more insight on how my own body works, what I respond to, what works for me, what doesn't. I've come to a realization like the stage will always be there. And I think just kind of sitting back and watching for a while, like it just gave me a new like love and appreciation for like the sport, and watching athletes like come into it and watching people grow through it. And like I learned how to be a better coach by kind of stepping back and just focusing on other people versus myself. I think it really just kind of helped me be a better athlete and a better coach. Am I saying a lot? Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm saying a lot.
No, I didn't catch that.
Okay, please call me out. Be like, no more. So yeah, I do. I think I gained just a lot more appreciation towards the sport, towards athletes, just learning my own body, what I respond to, all that jazz.
I love that. And, you mentioned, you work for the Pro Physique. So what exactly do you do for them? And what does it mean for you to manage their online programming? What does a normal day look like for you? Like, explain to us what it is that you do for them.
A normal day. Okay. So a normal day, I am frazzled McDazzled probably 90% of the time, but a normal day. So yes, I manage their online program, and we have a really cool software program in it. We have a bunch of coaches that are part of our program that take on weight loss, prep, off season, all that. And I help just kind of do their social media, their marketing, and then I take clients on myself. If we get any new inquiries and leads, I make sure to follow up with them, call them, help them with the sign-up process. And then I actually work directly with Whitney Jones. She is Miss Fitness Olympia. So those of, people don't know who she is. She's also a unicorn. She's pretty amazing. So she has a few athletes that work directly with her. So I help her with her athletes as well and just make sure everybody is getting, service in their prep or weight loss journey. So yeah, that is
That's
kind of what I do.
awesome.
So a
That's a
typical
lot.
day would be emails, checking social media, making phone calls, helping athletes, getting back to clients, doing updates. I mean, it is a lot. It's a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome though that you get to do all of that. And before that, you were a teacher, right?
I was a teacher. Yes.
Wow, what inspired the switch, or how did you even like why did you switch? What happened?
um, I I love teaching. I kind of got to the 3-year itch though, and I started training at Pro Physiques while I was teaching. And I've always been into fitness, health, everything kind of related to that. And so
Mhm.
they kind of just encouraged me to start learning more and start taking more classes and start growing my knowledge base. And so I did. And eventually they needed help with certain things. So I started taking on certain things and I kind of created my own little role and they needed, help with more things and they kept getting bigger and I loved it. And so I did, I made the little leap and left teaching and came on over to Pro full time. It was great. It was a really good switch for me and
That's
I love it.
awesome.
And yeah, it's good.
Sounds like it was a really natural switch.
It was, and it was gradual, and it was just kind of all good timing. So
That's
it ended.
cool.
It was good. Mm-hmm.
You also mentioned that and this was earlier kind of branching off of what you said about how not just from you don't just always compete to win or you had to change your perspective so that it wasn't always about I have to get this, I have to get that. It really became more about I'm going to have fun, and you gained a different perspective to the sport too, watching other girls going through it, a greater love and appreciation for it. So what do you do personally to prepare your mindset leading into a show and also out of a show?
So preparing my mindset. I. Oh my gosh, you're gonna think I'm crazy. I journal a lot.
I do too, so
And okay, good. I
uh-oh.
know because some people, when I tell them about journaling, they're like, "Oh, like on your phone," and I'm like, "No, like a pen and paper," and they kind of look at me like I'm cross-eyed. Like
Yep.
they, but yes, I journal a lot. Just I feel like putting your thoughts on paper just kind of helps you get it out. So that is one thing I do to help me mentally prepare. I also find, and I don't know if I intentionally do this, but I also am very good at distracting myself. Um, and I'm really lucky. I usually travel to the show with a team. So I distract myself with others and make sure I am having fun and I have that atmosphere around me at all times because if I just kind of sit by myself for too long, that's when I get kind of anxious and icky. So I just know I need to be around like positive people, positive energy. If I'm feeling kind of like blah, I need to journal. And then kind of coming out of a show, I don't know if there's anything I can honestly say I do consistently. I guess you would have to like, what do you mean by that? I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you journal about anything differently? Do you approach maybe the way that you think about your body or the way that you think about training or thinking about, okay, when is my next show? Those types of things, and then prepping your mindset
Okay.
to have that transition.
Yes. So definitely, if I get feedback, I will talk to my coach about it and then we kind of strategize. And then I do say, I'm like, what does that look like realistically? I like a very black and white answer. So we do strategize that way. Like if it's, adding size or doing this, I like to say, okay, great. And then how are we going to do that? Because I need to just kind of have a little plan. Um, so that is something we definitely do. And my training changes every single show. My diet changes every single show. That's something that's consistent, whether or not it is intentional, but that is something that changes all the time, and that I know probably 1 to 2 days after a show what I need to be doing. So.
Mm. And you mentioned it's really important for you to have other people around you. So you've been able to build some really great friendships through this sport. And I'm curious,
Mm-hmm.
like, was this always easy for you? And how did you begin developing such close relationships with other competitors?
I just talk. I don't think I don't know. I just kind of talk. Yeah. If you see me backstage, I will talk. I will talk to the wall. I will talk to anybody. Just literally talk back. So I think it's so cool. We're all there. We're all there for the same reason. You know, we all are crazy enough to do this diet and this training and eat cold fish or out of a Tupperware. Like, we've all been there. So why are we not talking to each other? You know, why are we not establishing relationships? You're going to see each other at every pro show or every national show. You're most likely going to see these people again. Like, get to know them, you know, it's cool. It's a good thing. So, and I just like that. It keeps me busy. It passes the time. It's fun. And you get to learn a lot about other people. So
Um,
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is super cool because I know like a lot of people want to develop more of those friendships. They want to have those close relationships. And I think the main message here is like allow it to come naturally, but make the effort to talk to people and get to know them.
Yes, I think it is making the effort. Absolutely. And I will say I have been so surprised how truly genuine a lot of these people are. I mean, that is the one thing I can say. I was so nervous coming into, like, you know, just being backstage with some of these girls, and it is intimidating. And you're like, oh my gosh, you know, like, wow, look at her. And I can say like 99% of these women that I've met they are really rad. Like, it's cool. It's a cool thing. So
That's cute.
yeah.
I think a lot of them
Hmm.
would say the same thing about you because Brina messaged me and she was, oh, for those listening, Brina Martinez. So she messaged me and she's like, I'm so happy you're bringing Alex on. And she was like, you know, Alex is the most genuine bikini babe out there. And she said she totally fell in love with your heart, but that, you know, your intelligence and the fact that you're so hardworking and gorgeous was just all a bonus. So I thought that was so cute and yeah, just a great example of how you can develop such amazing friendships.
You really can. And that's what's cool. And Brina is like, she's also a unicorn. She is amazing. I love her. But oh
She
wow.
is
And
amazing.
she's so nice. Hmm.
Yes, she is. She believes in people really like I think she sees people for like what they can bring to the table and she supports them and I just love that about her.
She honestly does. And she truly, like, her passion, like, she is somebody
Yes.
that, and I could talk about Brina forever. I'm just like, she is somebody, like, she's just so comfortable with herself. Like, it just pours out onto you. Like, you instantly feel better, like, about just yourself because her energy is just so contagious, and she's just so, like, loving. Oh, I just love Brina. I love her. So yes, I
That's
could
so
go on forever about her.
right.
She's
So
great.
that's good. And I know she asked a few questions and I'm not going to name everyone who asked the questions because that would take up a lot of time, but I do want to ask the questions that people had and sent in. So I want to start with the funny ones. Someone wanted to know what your best impersonation is.
Okay. So that is probably not suitable for work. And that specific person, so we try to do accents, and I am really good at, like, Asian nail lady accent. So that is the one I'm working on mastering.
Oh, nail
But
lady, did you say?
yes, the nail lady accent. The
Oh my
ladies that do your
gosh.
nails. So we will do that sometimes to each other. If I don't want to offend anybody.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't say I'm not offended because I'm not an Asian nail lady. But
But yes, I'm really good at doing that accent, but I don't think I want to share that.
you don't
Maybe
have to.
another time.
You don't have to. Maybe people
So
can
yes,
slide in the DMs and you can respond back
I
with
can do that. Yes, but that is the best accent right now I have because there's no other accent that I'm good at.
gotta leave the people wanting more.
Yes, got to keep some mystery here.
So, can you tell us your favorite dad joke?
Okay, so I know a lot of mom jokes, and I guess
Okay.
you could twist that for your dad, but yes, my family and I love your mom jokes. So I heard this thing about your mom. You're supposed to say what?
What was it?
I heard that your mama is so old that she signed the first edition of the Bible.
Oh my god. I hate them, but I love them.
They're so bad. I
They're
know.
so
So my
bad.
family and I used to just do your mama jokes, like your mama's so fat, your mama's so old. They're so stupid.
Oh
But
my
some
god.
of them are pretty clever.
They are clever. No, it's so funny too when you get to laughing with someone and you're all just feeding off of each other's energy, like dying at the table, like telling the dumbest jokes. You're like, I don't even know why we're laughing.
Exactly, exactly. But nothing like a good your mom joke. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cute. I remember. Well, now I feel weird saying this. I don't want you to get offended, but
Oh,
I
I do not get offended. Please.
I was gonna say, I
There's
remember in
no
middle school, your mom jokes were so like popular, and then I was like, just saying in middle school, like I don't want you to offend you, but yeah, it was a big thing in.
Oh no, I have like a middle school mentality. That's fine. A young mind. No, it was. It is such like a stupid thing, but I don't know why we would do it, but we loved
No,
it.
it's
So
good.
it kind of was ingrained in my brain.
Yeah, that was good. My family was when we were driving around because we were just on a trip, as you know, and we were driving around, and in the car we were saying like the dumbest things. Like we were trying to make puns out of like already existing words. Like I don't even know what the heck we were
Oh,
doing, but it's just like you just make up the most random things when you're with your family, just having fun, and it's just funny because it's your family too.
I do appreciate puns. Like puns are good. Puns are fun. That was a rhyme.
Oh my
I do love puns. They appreciate a good pun.
Me too. Oh man, or that game where you like, okay, every time you laugh, like you have to laugh differently than your normal laugh. And then it's just like,
I,
have you played that?
wait, no, we should do it during the whole podcast. Like, let's
Oh
try
my
it. We can
god.
start now. Do you want to start?
I have to not get a new laugh.
Okay, get out your good laugh, and then we'll go through it, and you have to try to laugh differently, and I'll try it too.
Okay. How will I know you're laughing
Okay,
differently though?
because I'll make it really obnoxious.
Okay. That's my new laugh. I can't even change it. Okay.
Like you go, like something like that.
That is too awesome. Okay. I'm gonna ask you a question about competing.
Okay, don't laugh. Oh, that can get distracting. Maybe we'll not do that game. Okay,
Well, I'm
back to
like wanting
competing.
to, but I'm laughing too hard. I'm like, can I even do it? So, someone wants to know how long did it take for you to get your pro card, and at which show did you get your pro card?
Okay, so I got my pro card last year at nationals in the national championships in Miami. And before that, that was my eighth national show. So before that, I did 7 national shows from 2014 onwards.
Wow.
So, yep, 8 times the charm.
How many times did you compete in a national show in 2000? Well, wait, when did you take your time off?
So I believe that was 20, let me think here. What year are we? 2019? So I got in 2018. So I took So I take 2016 off and like most of 2015 off, I want to say. So
So
my last, that sounds about right. Because
so
then
from
I
like
came, no. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was 2016 and I took 2017 off because then last year was 2018. Okay, wow, that was math. So
you
yes,
got
I
this.
did one. I know math is hard. So I took 2017 off, most of 2016 off, and then I came back mid-year of last year. I started,
Okay.
my first show was August of last year.
And then you went on to win your pro card.
Yes. hmm
So I think there's a lot of people who want their pro card right now. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
they
yeah.
step on stage and they instantly want it. And I think something that is obvious here is you did 8 national shows. That is 8 times going for your pro card. That is 8 times stepping in front of the judges saying, I'm ready for it, or am I ready for it in your eyes, right? And I think that
hmm
that can take a toll on people who compete because they think, well, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe it'll never happen. So did you, and again, I'm going into questions people asked, but it's kind of perfect for the conversation flow. So did you ever feel like giving up?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think when I took that time off, that was kind of me being at first like, I don't know if this is for me. Um, and that kind of, I don't know if it was giving up, but it was definitely my own like defense mechanism of putting up a wall and kind of telling myself like, maybe I'm not ready for this. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I need to step back. Kind of that negative self chatter that you tell
Mhm.
yourself. And so, yeah, I went through that whole thing. Absolutely. And I see people do it all the time. And I think if you genuinely love it, you'll realize it and it comes back. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, such a great
hmm
point. And I mean, now you're in the pro circuit. You're technically a rookie, but you're experiencing a lot of success. So what do you think contributed to this success? And is contributing, I should say.
Honestly, I don't know.
It's the
I
power
don't
stance.
know. The power stance. Blame it on the crystals and the power stance. I don't know. I mean, I've heard like people look at like you just look like you're having fun. And I am. I truly am. So I think that really helps me. I can't I mean, I work hard. I know I work hard in the gym. I do the diet. I don't know. I can't really name but I am not perfect. Like
Mm.
I am not perfect and I do that same thing. Like I look at all the competitors, I'm like, wow, she's beautiful. And like I don't see myself any differently. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know why. I just, I do genuinely try to have fun. And I think that helps me. That is the only thing I could really say. Um, Otherwise, that would be something you tell me. I don't know.
No, I love it. And so you said, you're not perfect. You're doing really well. Maybe you don't know exactly what's leading to it. I mean, obviously, if we break it down to like what the judges are looking for, you obviously have something that they want. So what improvements have you been told you still need to make, or what improvements are you still making?
Size. They want me to be bigger, just kind of all around, just fuller and bigger. So that is usually when I get feedback. I mean, I've gotten some feedback like, don't change a thing. But as I've gone through this season, and obviously the longer you do it, the harder it is to maintain muscle. Um, so it's been, coming a little bit bigger, not so conditioned, fuller shoulders, just more size. So those
Mm.
are the improvements in my feedback that I've been getting recently.
And you make a really good point. Like this, when you're in the run of it for so long, it can be difficult to make improvements such as putting on more size. And someone asked a really great question, and that was with the point system. what are your
Mm-hmm.
tips for a sustainable competitive career?
And yeah, that is something I sit back, and that is something I do strategize. With the point system, it's hard.
Mm,
I I never even expected to be on that roster, if I'm being 100% honest. Like, it's freaky deaky to me. Um, it is. It's
pretty
like,
amazing.
wow.
That is so,
I
I
mean,
bet it
it
hasn't
is.
felt real.
No, no, it is freaky deaky Dutch. Like, I don't know. But there is a point when you have to be like, realistically, okay, here, I have X amount of points. And I think it comes with having a good coach that's going to be very black and white with you. And also being in tune with yourself, because realistically, whether you're on that roster, you're close, you're far away, you have to think about the sustainability of it. Like, I know I can't keep continuing to do this, all year and then show in the fall. And like, I'm going to mentally need a break at some point. And physically, like
Right.
you need to take that. But I think just kind of being realistic of your expectations, your finances, that's another thing. And your overall wellness and how you internally feel is how it's sustainable. You have to strategize. You have to look at different shows and whether, see how you land and get the feedback. And it's hard. It's hard. I would just say, I guess if I'm giving a one sentence answer, it would just be to strategize and think about how you truly feel so
Mm,
you can make it sustainable. Like, listen to your body, because
totally.
if you get caught up in it and it's all about points and getting there, but you feel like pee pee poo poo caca, like, that's not going to be good, in the long run. So
Right. By the time you
yeah,
get there, it won't even matter.
exactly. So that is something that would be my only advice. But I'm still learning. I'm still going through it. So it's
Yeah.
hard.
And also,
Hmm.
like, your body might be in a different position. Maybe one year you're able to, reverse diet or build up your calories and decrease your cardio while you're getting ready for more and more shows, show after show after show. But other times, maybe your body can't do that right now. Maybe your body won't respond to that. So, like you said, one of the main points, listen to your body, see what you need, and strategize accordingly. And you also mentioned you have to strategize financially and mentally as well. So, someone was wondering, like, do you pay for all? I'm not even gonna say someone anymore. These are all questions asked for other people. I'm segueing. Okay, so I'm over that. I'm not even gonna bother with it because I'll take forever. So, do you pay for all of your own travel and shows, or do you have sponsors who do that?
No, I am sponsored by my own bank account. Yes. And
Nice.
yes. I do not have sponsors. And I've been fortunate enough to earn some prize money throughout this where it kind of offsets it, and really helps. That helps tremendously. So I have been very fortunate in that aspect. But if I hadn't have been in that position, my season would have looked a lot different, because it is not a cheap sport. No, no, no. Um, so, and yeah, I know there are certain sponsors that will pay for things and everything, but nope, I do not have a sponsor. Mm-mm.
And I mean, you don't have a sponsor, but obviously still make it work. This is something you plan for. Like you said, prize money can help. How do you stay positive with everything from judging to competing to having a busy life? Like, how do you stay positive?
I, I just, I am positive because I just really think I love it.
Mm,
um, I don't, I am so fortunate I get to work around people who are involved in the sport, and that contributes a lot to my positivity. I know a lot of people, they work at different jobs, but I get to go in every day to like a pop-in gym with athletes and Olympians and people with like the same goals. And it's just like, if I'm ever feeling icky, Whitney will do like some weird cross-eyed trick. And I am just constantly surrounded by people who truly love themselves and love others. And that, I think, is magic in itself. And that helps me tremendously. So if you're a competitor and maybe, you're not, your job isn't the best, or, maybe you don't have a supporter, I think just even having one person that can relate to you in some way or have a goal, it goes a long way just to have that. Like, that helps me every day. You gotta find people that love you hard and that you love hard. And you gotta find something that you love hard and just love. Stay positive. That's it.
Totally. I feel like when you are doing something that you're passionate about and you're surrounded by other people who are passionate about it too, it's difficult to get off of that mindset of I love this, because you're surrounded by it. So even when you're having a rough day, you're always brought back to like why you like it so much or why it matters to you. And so there's people who I know listen and don't feel like they have a support system, want to have more of a support system. And of course, there's plenty of opportunities to find that within your own gym, within the shows, like you said, talking to people, but also like through social media, that's helpful. Reaching out to anyone who competes, I think we all love to
Oh
chat
my
for
gosh.
the most part.
They can just give me a call, honestly. Like, I will be that person, because you have to have somebody. You can't go through life alone, and you definitely can't go through this alone. Like, yes, it is an individualized sport, but you have to have people that support you, or it makes it hard. Mm-hmm.
Totally.
For sure.
And so, what would you say your favorite show memory is?
Okay, so I have like a really bad memory, but I have so many good memories. Well, just this last weekend, that was bad. It was hilarious, but kind of bad. So they did call outs, and this isn't my favorite show memory, but this is just an example of how we can all just kind of laugh at ourselves and have fun. This past weekend, they do our call outs, and then they dismiss you off stage. And usually they like to do a confirmation round, and call the first call out back out. But the expediters are kind of like, no, girls, go ahead. And we're like, you're sure? And they're like, yeah, no problem. Like, you're done. So we kind of just stayed back, and I went in the audience, if I'm being honest, because I was like, okay, I'm going to watch the show. But before I went in the audience, I put my dress on and I took off my bikini bottoms because they are so tight and so uncomfortable, and I just gotta let it breathe. Okay. So that's always what I do after a show. So yeah, just kind of hanging out, and watching, loving it. And they call us back on, and I have no bottoms on, and and we're all scattered, like the girls, we all left. And so I was frantic, like frazzle McDazzle. I ran to the one side of the curtain, I throw on my bottoms, I take off my dress, and I'm on the opposite side of the stage where you're supposed to enter. And they keep calling us, and they're trying to figure out where we all are. And I hear my coach from the audience yell, he's like, just hop on the stage, because he didn't want me to go all the way around.
Yeah.
So I just jumped on the stage from the other side and walked across. And then the other girls gracefully came on after, and we all kind of just laughed and got it together. And
oh my gosh,
it was a hot mess, but we all kind of just laughed and bonded over it, because we were all on other sides of the building. It was just a mess. So that was a good one.
Did anyone miss it?
No,
Oh,
no,
that's
we all
good.
got there, but it was like very delayed. And Bob Chicarella, he was actually the MC, and he's like, and
Mhm.
these are pro athletes, everyone.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it
Girl,
was
I thought you were
kind of
gonna go
messy.
somewhere else with that story for a second, and I
No,
was so nervous. I was
on,
like, "Don't tell me you hopped on stage without your bikini
without
bottom."
my bottom, which yeah, that would, I wouldn't be surprised if I did that though, honestly, because I was
Oh
so
my God.
frantic.
Oh man, I can
They
only
are so
imagine.
tight.
They are tight, and then
They are so
yeah,
tight.
they hurt sometimes. It's true. It's true. And
Yeah.
you ever get like those cuts a little bit? Not even like cuts. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like almost like cuts underneath your skin. Sometimes they're so tight. Get that on my neck
Okay.
too.
Oh, when you do your suit, yes, you get like a suit burn. It's like a rug
Yes,
burn, but a suit burn.
like a jewel burn. Like the jewel is just
A
like cutting.
rhinestone burn.
It's like slowly chopping your head off.
You're like, we're slowly gonna pass out if you keep us up here any longer.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love that, and
Oh,
I'm so glad you made it. And so I kind of want to get into the prep related stuff. And you brought up your coaches. So what made you choose them, first of all?
um, they so I met my coach Damien probably they before he even opened the gym, so over 10 years ago. I was in college. And he was working at a gym, and I just met him, and he at the time was training some people for Olympia. And I remember seeing these girls and being like, wow, that is so cool, and just looking at them in awe. And a couple years later, I saw, I think it was Michelle Lewin, and I just saw a picture of her, and I was like, you know what? I want to do that. I want to look like that. Like, thinking that I
Mhm.
would look like that. Like, can you make my face like that, my hair like that, all of that. And so I just looked up gyms in my area, and I I saw a picture of him and like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen him in like years. Like he has a gym now. Like I want to go train there. And I saw the kind of people they train, and they trained athletes. So I connected back with them, and it was kind of, that was it. Like it always just, I just stuck with it. I loved the energy. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the other competitors in there. I hadn't ever, and I loved that they constantly evolved. That's what I think
Mhm.
made me stay with them. Like when I started, it was a lot of meal plans. And then I just love that the coaches like started to learn flexible dieting, and like the methods were changing, and it wasn't always the same diet or peak week or this or that. Like they weren't afraid to try new things. And that's, I think, and they pushed all their coaches to learn and try new things. And I think that's what made me stuck with it, because it worked. So
Mm.
yeah.
And how
Um,
beneficial is it for you to live near almost like with them, right? Because you're working there all the time, but
yeah,
near
I
your
live
prep
there.
coaches and working there. And do you think your preps would be the same if you didn't?
Um, so like when I wasn't working there and prepping and just kind of going in 1 or 2 times a week, it was definitely a different type of prep. It obviously wasn't as, I don't think I had such a positive outlook a lot of the time, because you go home, you go to your other job. Um, so yeah, I do think if I wasn't there all the time, for me it would be a little bit different. But I mean, we have athletes from all over, and they interact, through online, or they have phone calls and everything, and they'll even come and hang out in our gym for a week, and they do great. So I think it's kind of just dependent on what you need as an athlete.
Mm.
um, like for online, there's some people, when I talk to them on the phone, they think they want to sign up, and I talk to them and I'm like, I think you need to be at a place where you have a, in studio trainer that you go and see. I think you need that every week. And like, I'll be honest with them. And
Mm.
they're like, yeah, I think I do need that. I need that accountability. I need that constant interaction. And then other people, they're like, nope, this is great. Like,
Mhm.
I'm pretty self-sufficient. I can do X, Y, and Z, and I just need you for, I don't know, LOMNOP, and it works. So yeah, I think every person is different depending on kind of where you're at and what you need.
Yeah, totally. And it's good that you can recognize how no matter what, if you find what does work for you, you're going to be happier, better off anyways. And you mentioned your coaches have really evolved over time and their methods have changed. So you also mentioned earlier in the episode that, your preps are different every single time. But what kinds of changes
Mhm.
do you make for peak week?
So peak week, it is, and that is something because I am there. Peak week, I can't even tell you honestly because it is so different every time. He will look at me daily, and based off that, he will tell me what he wants me to do. He'll kind of sometimes he'll give me a plan, but then usually it changes. Like a few meals will change or
Mhm.
something will be added, manipulated. So peak week is different, I can say, every single time.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the same in the sense usually with like, and I'm not saying this is, everybody has different methods. So please do not be like, oh, well, she doesn't, so I'm going to do it. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, I saw all the way through. I drink my normal amount of water. I don't water load. I know somebody asked about water loading. I don't water load, but that is for my body. There's other people peak weeks that they do that and it works great. But for me, like it's kind of, I don't do like this like magical potion or anything different.
You don't?
I
There's
kind
no
of,
magic pill?
I, I mean, if you have it though, please share. And I don't do the same thing every time. I can say that. That's one thing for certain. So,
And do you ever
mm-hmm.
worry about not being ready for a show?
Oh my gosh, I worry like the sky is falling. Yes, of course.
Um,
Oh, yes, I do. I have all those same thoughts a lot of the time. Yeah.
that's
And
so
I remember
crazy.
going into my pro debut, I was like, I think I was just being like a little self sabotager and, just like, nah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And you would just like find something weird, like a weird hair on your head and be like, see, look at this hair. I'm not ready. Or like like you would just,
Yes.
and you just find every excuse. And then, but I do appreciate like my coach, he will be like, no, like you're doing it. And I know because he is so black and white, I know that he would never put me in a position where if I wasn't ready, he'd be like, yeah, you're good, go ahead. So I think just having that relationship and trusting that has helped me. But oh yeah, I'm always like, are you sure? Are you sure?
And
So,
it just goes to show, like, no matter how long you've been doing this, how far you've come, those feelings are pretty normal. And there's athletes in
oh,
other sports who will feel the same way.
hmm that is a very valid thing. There's always that little self doubt, and I wish it wasn't there. Oh my gosh, but oh yeah, I go through all of that.
Yeah, and the thing like with self-doubt too is it's kind of it's really about perspective on it, right? Because if we look at self-doubt and go, "Oh my gosh, I'm doubting myself so much. I suck. I'm a horrible athlete. I have no belief in myself." That doesn't help us. But if we look at self-doubt like this is a reminder of how much this means to me, this is my extra push, this is my motivation, then that's a different story that we're telling ourselves about the doubt that we have. And so it's all about how we use the things that we're going through and we're experiencing. And I'll get messages from girls who want help from the mental perspective of things leading into shows, and sometimes it's like you really don't need it and sometimes you really do need it. And um, as a coach for people on that side of the spectrum in terms of the mindset behind these things, if someone is doubting themselves so much that it leads them to take actions and have behaviors that are not serving them and getting where they want to go, then it's definitely a problem that needs to be addressed. But oftentimes, sometimes we just have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, this is normal. I gotta quit stressing about it and just trust, like you said, just trust my coach and get to the stage, do what I know I need to do.
Exactly. And yes. And I always tell myself, I'm like, this is not up to me. Like at the end of the day, this isn't how I land is not, yes, it's up to me to do the work and, try to present myself in a certain way and not be a complete hot mess. But it's like, I got to
Put your
practice my
pants
pose and
on.
like, yes, like, put my bottoms on, tie my suit so tight that I can't breathe. Like, those things are up to me. But at the end of the day, I can only control what I bring.
Right.
I can't control who does the show. I can't control the judge's perspective. I can't control if, I can barely control a lot of things, really. So why worry? You know,
Right.
it doesn't, just focus on what you can control, I think really has helped me.
That's exactly
So,
right. And
and I think a
that's
lot of people need to be reminded of it. Like, just you do you, girl, and that's it. That's it.
hmm No, so true, and I totally agree with you. I think like we have to ask ourselves the question, right? Are the things that are in my control, right? Am I actually controlling those things? And then if I can't control them, what are the things that I think that I need to control but I honestly cannot, right? The weather, for example. Um
Mm-hmm.
but then like asking ourselves, what are the things that we have the power to influence, right? So if we can control, okay, the fact that we weighed our food on the scale, or the fact that we cooked it a certain way, or whatever it might be, that's good. But what about the things that we can influence? Our attitude is something we can influence and control. The way we feel about ourselves, something that we can influence and control, right? And so I think sometimes we get caught up thinking I have to control everything rather than going, well, I have the power to influence these things, even if I can't fully control them. So you can't influence how a judge is going to score you. There's no way you can do that. This sport is highly um, regulated in the sense that the judging is very, very fair and honest. So you can't influence that,
Mm-hmm.
but you can influence your energy on stage, right? You can influence maybe,
Yes,
you know what I
absolutely.
mean? Like, so I think, yeah, letting go of that need to control everything, but also understanding that there are things in your control and things out of it, and that's what it is. And do you ever get like moody or emotional during prep?
I am a woman. So that's the very exact question. Of course, I am a woman on a diet. Yes, I can very oh my gosh, yes, of course. Not to the point where like it's constant and all the time, but oh yeah, I mean we all do. Um, and like if I'm getting my period, like the week before, I remember I cried watching like a funny movie. What movie? It was like Zoolander. It was something so stupid. It was like Zoolander. And I cried. I'm like, why am I crying? And then I got my period. I'm like, oh, that's why.
Oh
Okay.
my
Now
gosh.
that all makes sense.
Yes.
So yes, I have moved like definitely. And I got to self-regulate sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, why am I like so upset about this stupid thing? Like it's not even a big deal. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Of course I get moody.
That
Mm-hmm.
is so funny.
Yeah.
I definitely hear you on that. And you mentioned sometimes you'll just get your period after that. Sometimes I'm like, am I feeling sad because I'm sad? Or am I feeling sad because I'm gonna get my period soon? And then when I get
It
my
will.
period, I'm like, yay, I'm not actually
Yay.
depressed.
Right. Like I can cancel my appointment to go see my doctor. No, I do all the time where I'm like, wow, it all makes sense now. Like, why did I get so mad at Costco? Like it all makes sense when you get
Yeah.
your period. You're like, thank you. I am not that bad of a person. Like
Totally. And
just a little
sometimes
emotional.
no symptoms, Sometimes there's literally nothing that comes up, but then other times there
Mhm.
are. And someone wanted to know too, do you plan your competition dates around your menstrual cycle?
No, I don't.
Let us
I
know.
don't. No, I don't because that would be my competition is schedule is crazy. So trying to do that would be really, really hard.
Yeah,
I do not.
that would be tough.
I just, again, like I can control what I can control. And if she wants to come, hey girl, we'll figure it out. So
Yeah, now that I've like got my period back after not having it for so long, I'm like, I don't really care. I'm just grateful that she's here, you know? Welcome. Don't ever leave me again.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's
So
it.
good. Yes. And I think maybe for amateurs who aren't planning on doing so many shows like you are, I mean, racking up points for the Olympia, you know, maybe they could consider doing something like that. But again, like you don't know, right? Like you really don't.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes your cycle could be 5 extra days. And now what? Maybe it's not the week you actually chose to compete. So I feel like those are things that are little stressors that it happens, it happens. You know, you did everything you could. Maybe pay attention to how your body looks when you do get it as you get closer to a show. Maybe you're 1 month out, see how your body looks when it gets your period and make sure your coach knows so they can make adjustments.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. As long as you have a coach that can help manipulate to make you, look a little bit better, if you're like bloaty or watery or whatever, that's the most important thing because you can't. If she wants to come, it's like you can't stop that. Can't stop Mother Nature. So,
Nope. Okay, so I'm going to
no.
ask you about food now. Okay.
Okay.
I want to ask
Food.
you
Let's do it.
the first thing I want to ask personally is about Taco Bell, and someone else wanted to ask you about this. So I didn't even know this was a thing that you did until I read the requested question. So I'm so
Mm-hmm.
glad because then I saw your post about what you actually order from Taco Bell. I was like, girl, this is
So
such a good
bad.
idea. So well, I don't know. I thought it was a good idea. But what is your favorite meal post show? Yeah, could you break it down for
Okay. Well, I do love Taco Bell because it's so gross. I know judgment is coming my way. But I mean, like, they're consistent. It tastes the same at every location. So can you blame me?
me? No,
But I will say Cheesecake Factory is also extremely consistent. It tastes the
love
same at
cheesecake.
every location. There's options for everybody. If you want spaghetti, it tastes great. If you want pizza, if you want Asian food, they could make it taste great. I don't know how they do it either. Um, but I, I honestly am not like a super meal person. Like I do like Taco Bell. I like the Mexican pizza and the double decker taco and the cinnamon twist. Those are very good.
Cinnamon twist.
Um,
They're bomb.
yeah, but I am kind of snacky. Like if we went to a gas station, that would be cool. If we just all put our snacks together and ate, that would be cool. Like
Yep.
I just want to snack on just things. Like I love chips and guacamole. Um,
Girl.
like everything, and then sugar. It's like, yeah, we went out after Louisiana, and um, I ordered carrot cake for dinner, and I only ordered the salad with chicken just so it offset and made it look like I was eating some protein. But really, I had like 2 bites, and then I just ate my carrot cake.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I love carrot cake.
Like, it's so good. It's so good. Oh, it's so good.
It's seemingly
So
good.
there's really not a lot of foods I discriminate towards. So favorite post show, I mean, anything sugar, anything snacky, and burger and Taco Bell would be great. So yeah.
Nice. Nice. Just gonna eat up. So, you know, if someone is dealing with binge eating right now, and this is something that I help a lot of girls go through, or I guess I should say get through. Have you ever dealt with
Mm-hmm.
binge eating and what did you do to overcome or address it?
So I personally have not ever dealt with like extreme binge eating. I have dealt with like maybe overeating to the point where I'm like, why am I doing this? Like I'm not even hungry. Um, and I think one thing I do notice when I do kind of get to that is that's at a point where maybe my fats are a little lower. And so I work on working up those fats. Like my fats, I work up more and more. And I try to start my day with a fattier meal. And that has seemed to help me tremendously. And then I do have, I guess I have trigger foods. Is that what we call them, when
Mhm.
you have those foods that you know you just cannot stop at. And so for those, I've been able to recognize those, and I can say I don't keep them in my house because I cannot be trusted.
Mhm.
Like trail mix, that would be one. Peanut M&Ms, mm-hmm.
Is
That
that
would be
on prep
something like,
and off prep?
I would say both. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Bad news bears. I like the nuts, everybody. But no, yeah,
Yeah.
trail mix and like M&Ms, I could probably eat a huge Costco sized bag and not bat an eye and be like, oh, that happened today. Whoopsie. So
Mhm.
there's certain foods, I know myself and know that they have to be portioned out or bought at my own discretion, at my own risk.
At the
So
gas station after a show.
yeah, like you get the snack size, you eat it, and you move on.
Yes.
So I think recognizing, what foods cause that for you, and then if it's a constant, like you're binging all the time, you probably need a diet break. You need to reset and probably talk to somebody too, and journaling cures everything. But I think just get to the root of why, like what is causing this? Like why am I stressed about something? Like what triggers it? What is the cause? Why do I feel like I need to do this? Because
Mhm.
I think it's something a lot deeper a lot of the times. It's not just eating, there's a lot of different reasons people do that. And it's
Yeah.
hard. I don't know.
It is tough.
Um,
That's yeah, I agree. People need to seek out help for it. And I started this food journal discovery program, and it's basically about all about healing your relationship with food, and it's for competitors on or off prep. And every single competitor I've had gone through it has experienced success, which has been really awesome for me to witness. But it really does come down to understanding where those things are coming from. Identifying the trigger foods is actually part of what I have in that journal. And it's about knowing why it's a trigger food too. I think sometimes people think, well, because this triggers me, I can't have it around, or I'm never going to have it ever again. And sometimes that's good and that works and that's enough for people, and then they can have it like once in a blue moon and be fine. But it's also like being able to have it around and not be so nervous about it and not feel like you're going to be
yes,
triggered by it, right? And then that's where, okay, like let's get to the root of it. What is happening? And sometimes it's really interesting. Like people will find that, as a kid, they always had a certain food when they were upset, or their parents gave them something, or that was what they had for comfort, and so they turned to it. Or maybe there's definitely, usually there's a void in their life that is being pushed back subconsciously. They don't want to see it consciously, so food is a great way to fill that. And or maybe they're not eating at all, and that's because they don't believe they're worthy of it being filled. So there's a lot of things that go into, like you said. And I love that you said, it can definitely be about your diet for sure. A diet break might be necessary, and a lot of times that can help, but also talking to someone. And so, to anybody listening, open invite. If you want to reach out and ask for help, I'd be happy to help you and see if and how we can work together, and maybe see if that program is good for you. But moving back into the questions, do you do flexible dieting?
so I do follow macros, but I've
Mm-hmm.
been in trouble
Oh,
because I am I am so busy, and I forget to eat, and I will like I am not perfect by any means, everybody, and like it will be like I can be so busy, forget to eat, and then I am stuck with 200 carbs and 10 fats at the end of the night, and I'm like cramming it in. Or
mm-hmm.
vice versa. I've been not busy and just been like, oh, I'm going to eat all day, or I haven't planned it out. And then at the end of the night, I have to go to bed because I have egg whites and it's 4 o'clock, and that's
Yes.
it. So
I hate
I,
that, by the way. It's the worst.
yes. And for prep, like when you're prepping, you do have to be consistent. You do have to, have good nutrient timing and just be more consistent and repetitive. So I am right now because this is what works for me in this period of my life. And I am not going to sit and manipulate numbers and meals. And I need to be focused on growing and getting food in and getting more carbs, intra workout, post workout. I am following a set plan. But typically I do follow macros. Mm-hmm.
Nice. And
But
so
for me, yeah, that's just what works for me right now.
if someone's listening and following flexible dieting, how should they track sugars and micronutrients? Like, what's your rule of thumb?
My rule of thumb with sugars, and I mean, I usually tell people definitely, like, I try to be within like the 40 range, just that's, I feel like, a good range for me. Every day, like when I'm just kind of hanging out, like 40, 45 grams. That's, I think you can, eat some fruit, you can have some normal food and you're okay. You're not, if you're slamming like a sugary, venti Starbucks drink, like that's like 60 grams right there, game over.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not the best for your health every single day. And then micronutrients, I am a weirdo with veggies, like especially that is one thing in prep and I stress this to everybody in prep, like you are in a caloric deficit. Like you need to be sure you are eating green vegetables, like veggies. You have to be getting something. So track that and see, like you have to be getting good nutrients. And like you can't just take a multivitamin. Like you need to eat spinach. Like you need to eat food, like good quality foods, because when you're in a deficit already, you gotta be like giving your body some good stuff, So
yes.
Quality food, I think, is so important and it makes a difference. I know it's not always the most fun, but it does really make a difference. It's not like nobody likes to eat spinach and kale, and I mean, I guess some people do, but it is so important. So
I had the best
track
bowl.
that and
and it had kale in it, and I didn't even know I liked kale, by the way. It's really good.
See, kale, yeah. That's what you can say. That's your kale pun. It's like kale, yeah, but kale, yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I like that.
Yeah,
and the nourishment.
It is. You have to. I mean, you can't just eat, like white rice and then a piece of chicken. That's really got to get those micronutrients in.
And
so,
do
yeah.
you believe in intuitive eating?
So intuitive eating, I mean, that kind of, I know people it's like a kind of like a hot word, I guess. And to me, that's intuitive eating to me is, I mean, not during prep. If I did intuitive eating, for me, that would mean I eat when I'm hungry, I eat what I'm craving, I stop when I'm full. Is that correct as far as like kind of what? Yes. Okay. So for prep, obviously for me, that wouldn't work because I would probably be eating Taco Bell and then I probably wouldn't eat for like 10 more hours and I would just, I mean, I don't know. I do believe in intuitive eating. But that goes to also having a good, healthy relationship with food and knowing your body. So mastering that intuitive eating is just eating. It's just eating.
It's just
like
eating.
It's just eating. Yeah. To me, that's
Exactly.
just being a person that's in tune with your body. You eat what you crave. If you go out to dinner with your friends, you look at a menu and you truly get what you want and you stop when you're full. And it's like what babies do. They eat when they're hungry, they stop when they're full. So intuitive eating to me, yes, I believe in it, but I believe you have to have a very good relationship with food because that means you're just really eating, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Exactly. I feel like
so that's, yeah.
I was gonna say, I feel like for prep, like it's a little more difficult, and if you chalk it up to like another sport, right? Because sometimes it's easy, like when we're thinking of our own world, like we can make justifications, but like if we looked at a different sport, right? There's not someone necessarily doing like intuitive practicing, right? Like I'm not intuitively practicing my I don't know, another sport. Like I'm not intuitively practicing my serving, right? So it's like, okay,
No.
in some ways if you want to be an incredible athlete, or you want to be an athlete at all, you have to take on this athlete mentality. And I think intuitive eating doesn't mean you're not an incredible athlete or you can't take that on. But I think, like you said, you have to be really, really good at it to the point where it is just eating. And knowing that in prep, it's very different. You're going to be hungry. There's going to be times where you're hungry. There's going to be times where you have cravings. And if you have to change the definition of intuitive eating for prep, is it still intuitive eating? Well, probably not. It's just a different approach. Like you said, it becomes eating. And so, yeah, I hear you on that. I totally agree with you.
And you're eating, when you're in prep, you're eating towards a goal. Like,
yes,
I don't care who you are. Like, you don't, like, there's going to be meals either, you're hungry or you're eating and you're like, I really don't care for the taste of this. Like, that's, but you are eating towards a goal in prep, or you definitely should be. So that is, I really don't think you can, just like, if you're training for, Michael Phelps, like when he's in training, he eats over 10,000 calories a day, and he is eating towards his goal. Like, he knows he needs to get an X amount of calories, and it needs to be high quality foods for him to perform. Like, he's eating towards his goal. So when you're coming to a sport where it's literally based off your physique and how you look, like, I don't think you can just intuitively eat. Like, you have to eat for that goal. So, but in general life, like just hanging out, absolutely. I mean, if you can have a healthy relationship with food, and you have a good foundation of like what's healthy food, how you feel, how your body feels, that's just eating, right?
Yes.
So,
And also it comes with like a transition process that you have to be okay with. And that's going to reveal so many of the things that come up in our relationship with food. If you want to jump into intuitive eating, you have to be prepared to face those darknesses, honestly. And there's been times for myself where that was the hardest part. Like, I want to start eating more intuitively. I want to start eating more mindfully. Well, how can I make this process easier? So a great way to do this, if you're listening and you're like, I'm not on prep, but I'm in a bit of an improvement season, or in taking time off, or I don't know if I'm ever going to compete again, and I want to just start eating what I want to eat, but I'm afraid that it's going to be really tough for me, throw me into a binge, whatever. Something that I'd recommend is set like little guidelines for yourself when you wake up each day, in regard to your food, or even just the way you feel about yourself. And if you go in with expectations for yourself in terms of, okay, this is what I'm going to do today, this is my commitment to myself, out of self-love, out of pure joy and desire to, nourish myself in both food and also thoughts, then when you are faced with those decisions, you're going to be thinking about the expectations or the standards you set for yourself. So it can make that transition easier. So for example, I'm going to allow myself to have what I want today when I want it. However, I'm going to be eating slower, and when I know that I'm full, I'm going to stop. And if I don't stop, here's how I'm going to address it later. Not I'm going to go do extra cardio, but okay, I'm going to make sure that before my next meal, I'm even more tuned in, or I'm considering what nutrients I actually need now, or what my body wants. So, those things definitely can help, is that thought process, right? Now, someone wanted to know, I was like, what the heck? I even messaged you about this. Like, is this a joke? I didn't know. I'm going to ask because I feel like the person like really needs the answer. Like, what's your favorite pea brand?
I know, like PEA, like the little
Pea.
green things.
Yes.
Probably the brand that doesn't enter my mouth because I don't really eat peas. Honest. That brand, the
I
off
love
brand.
peas.
So I know I can't say that it's like a veggie that I incorporate in my diet. Okay, this is not healthy, but those little, have you gone to Sprouts? They're like in the bulk section, and they have those like wasabi dried peas.
No, I
And
haven't.
they're crunchy. They're dried and they're crunchy, and sometimes I'll like put them on salads. It tastes more like a chip than a pea, so that's probably why I like it. But
It's
those
part
are
corn,
good.
part pea.
It's a processed pea. It's highly processed. It's like cheddar.
It's barely a pea.
Yeah, that's a great kind. But I can't recommend any peas. I'm so sorry if I'm disappointing, but I don't have a favorite pea.
It's okay. They said they were asking for a friend.
Oh, yeah.
No, I love that that person asked that too. It's like that is so cute. So does the food source count or macros? And when someone asked this, I was, I'm not exactly sure what they mean, but I think what they meant because they mentioned like rice versus couscous, chicken versus egg whites. So I'm assuming they get a meal plan that says have chicken and they replace with egg whites. And I think they want to know, does the food source count or the macros?
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, I think it goes back to micronutrients. How also I think for you, like based off your person or your body, not the person, based off your body, and how you digest it and how you feel. So, I mean, I know some people that like absolutely love brown rice and they eat it, and then other people like get very bloaty and gassy and yucky. So I do think it all kind of matters, and it matters how it makes you feel. And I think personally, my opinion is it's important to mix it up and try different proteins, try different, not be so repetitive. Um, but that's just my personal perspective because I think you get different micronutrients and different exposure to different foods. So that's what works for me. It works to exchange out my carbs and have, a certain carb list I follow. And because it helps kind of keep me sane with variety, it allows me to have different types of micronutrients and different things. But that's,
Mhm.
again, my opinion and my views towards prep and what I need. So, mhm.
Totally. And so what is and I have a feeling Brina wants to make you breakfast, but what's your favorite non-prep breakfast?
I love breakfast Taco Bell. No, I'm just kidding. My
But really.
favorite, I know, but we could just Sabrina, it's fine. I do like for breakfast. This sounds so like bougie. I like frittatas. I don't know, they're really good.
Oh my God.
like like the egg little frittatas are so good. Any sort of hash brown is usually very delicious in my opinion. And um obviously like something with a side of sugar. Like I don't breakfast food, I do not discriminate. You could give me,
Mhm.
there is not a bad breakfast food really. I don't. Have you ever heard anybody complain about breakfast food?
No, not anyone cool.
No. No, it's like somebody complaining about strawberries. Like I've never met a person that
Mm.
doesn't like strawberries. And I would be like, "Oh, you don't like strawberries? I don't know. I don't know about your soul."
Who
So
invited you anyway?
yeah, it's like anything good for breakfast. So feel free to make me breakfast, Brina.
We're gonna get
Anything.
some haters about that. I feel like someone's listening, like, dang, I can't listen to this show anymore because they love strawberries and I hate them.
I know. So sorry. No, but I've honestly never met a person that's like, I hate strawberries.
No, I've
Because
never
that,
met someone like that.
no, no.
Well,
So,
introduce
but if you
yourselves.
don't, yes, if you don't like strawberries, it's okay. Just let us know what you do like so we can relate.
Yes, exactly. So we don't have to hold that against you forever. Um,
Yeah, that's it.
so what is your favorite way to do hit cardio? Or do you prefer steady state?
I love hits. I I like to train. That is the one thing that like training and just mixing it up and going hard is like my favorite thing. Um, right now I've been cut off from hits and I
Oh.
kind of just am, it's really hard. But if I could choose one, I would choose hits because I love it. I love the feeling of sweating and pushing yourself and you just feel like so accomplished after. Steady state, I usually, because I live in Arizona and it's super hot outside, I'm usually confined to like a very boring gym and I get very distracted and I don't like that. So it's kind of, I just kind of find myself like staring at the clock and I have to watch a show or something to pass the time,
Yes.
which it's, yeah. So I would prefer hit. But again, you're training for a certain look, you're training for your body, your goals. So sometimes I can't always do what I prefer, and that's okay.
And how much cardio do you normally do during prep?
That is something that changes. So like, I'll be completely transparent. In the beginning, I was doing, probably for me, which is a lot for me because I am a smaller build, I was doing like 45 minutes of steady state a day. For me, that was a lot. As as my season went on and on, that has definitely gone down. Right now, it's minimal because I'm trying to keep my size. So right now I'll do like a 20-minute walk, maybe, go outside. But that has been an ongoing changing thing. Like some weeks I'm doing HIIT, some weeks I'm not, some weeks I'm doing more steady state. Again, that's something that changes every single time. So,
and when you're doing your HIIT or you're doing your steady state, what's your favorite music to listen to?
Okay, so I love Fit Radio. Do you have Fit Radio?
Someone told me I should get that, and I didn't because I have a Spotify subscription, but tell us
I
about
do
it.
too. Oh, I have them all. I probably pay like $90 a month in music subscriptions. So Fit Radio, I love them. It's a yearly fee. I think it's like $30. So it's actually really not expensive. But it's all just DJs that like make mixes, and they come up with new stuff every month, and there's just like thousands and thousands of mixes, and it's all songs, but they like put in, I don't know, you guys just have to do it. You will jam out. It will be so fun. So I just love my Fit Radio.
What makes it
makes
for
it
fit people?
Because they have like different genres, and they'll do like beats per minute, and then you can set a timer. So you can set intervals, and like it will be like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and it will time you if you want to do that. Or you could just listen to the music like I do. But yeah, there's just really good mixes. Like you're in a club all the time. It's just like a party all the time.
You have a coupon code?
I recommend it. I need them to sponsor me because I've probably given out them to everybody. Like Fit Radio, and then we play it in our gym. I mean, it's just fun. It's fun.
Cool. And so when you're training, like, what do you enjoy training the most?
What do I enjoy training the most? If I could train, I love like circuit work. I love HIIT work. But when it's like a specific weight training, I definitely enjoy lower body the most because it's where I'm stronger. I love it. I like feeling strong. I know my upper body is my weak point, and sometimes I'm like, eh. So,
yeah.
It's sometimes I'm like, but I love training lower body. So that's my favorite.
How do you go about developing nice quad muscles without creating massive quads?
I saw that question and laughed because my quads, oh my gosh, they're like on a different planet. They are. I think the biggest game changer for reshaping my legs has been definitely focusing on more glute and hamstring specific movements. And I do a lot of glute work. And then I've worked with my coach, and he is very corrective when he sees me engaging too much quad. And he'll just stop me right then and there and be like, nope, we're done. Like because my quads and this is for most people, when you're training, it's going to be dominant and it's going to want to take over. And so if you're training glutes and let's say like you start to fatigue, I find a lot of the time my quads will want to take over, and then I'm actually not focusing on the movement and using more quad than glute. So he's been able to stop me and be like, okay, nope, you need to take a rest. We're done. We're going to lower weight. Focus more on that. So just focusing on not engaging them as much has helped me. But and that's just something that I've learned over time, and I've learned specific exercises that work for me and ones that do not work for me. So I think if you're trying to keep your quads down in size or stay proportioned, you're going to have to find what exercises you're not engaging them and using them and having them take over all the time. So that would be my one suggestion.
Totally.
But I feel like my quads are like on another level. Oh my gosh. I did not like that.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's good though if they tell you to put on more size, I guess. You just
Yeah, I know, but why doesn't my shoulders catch up? Like, why am I quadzilla? Why? Can we
okay.
just choose where we want it to go?
Crazy
But
though. Like there's this guy, his name is well, he goes by Muscle PhD, Jacob shoot, what if I mess up his name? It's Jacob Wilson. I love him. But anyway, he like did some research or shared some research or whatever on how if you're training heavy legs or you're training leg day, you can actually increase the growth in other body parts by training them after. So for example, you do a crazy leg day and then you hit like shoulders and they showed more growth in those different areas when they trained them with legs. So for example, maybe you have a crazy leg day
oh,
and then you do like lateral raises, front raises, and shoulder press, maybe like 2 sets of 20 or 2 sets of 10 or whatever you want to do, whatever usually works best for you. And it can help increase the growth there.
I love that. Okay, let's do it. I'm like, I'll try it.
Right? I
I
always
will
like
be.
I always want to try it and then I get so tired after leg day, but I did it the other day and I did lateral raises and I was like, okay, like this is just a first step. It's like small goals, you know? I'll get there eventually where I can hit like a few shoulder exercises after.
Yeah, that's really interesting. See, I love stuff like that. I will test run anything.
Yeah.
You name it. That's cool. Huh.
Yes.
Okay.
It just made me think of
Pick
that.
your
So
brain forever. Hmm.
yeah, it'll be cool. So last question was well, their last question. I still have two more for you. What do you do
Okay.
for recovery?
Oh, recovery. Okay. So that is one big thing we are huge about is recovery. And um, I see a sports therapist every week. It is expensive, but when you are a competitor, especially at the national level and then especially at the pro level, I cannot stress those fine details matter. And I'm guilty of definitely not rolling enough, stretching enough, prioritizing recovery. I could be 1,000 times better. Um, but if I'm in balance or if my hips are off or I have a shoulder shifted higher, like it shows when you're presenting on stage. And so I personally I have a Theragun. So
Mhm.
I warm up with that every day. I'm very fortunate to have one. I roll a little every day. I see my sports therapist every week. He's amazing. And then we also have an ice bath at our gym, and I do that usually a couple times a week, and then Epsom salt bath at night as well. So it is a lot of time. It's a lot of energy. Um, it's a lot of little extra things that people, including myself, were like, I would put it off, but it makes such a difference. Um, it makes a difference in how you feel, how you look, just how you perform. It's so important. So that's personally what I do for recovery. I roll a lot. I try to stretch. I see my guy, Charlie, every single week. Ice bath, Epsom, and Theragun.
That's
So I am
awesome.
basically an old person falling apart.
Oh my gosh, I know. I
That's it.
always think like if this is how I feel now, how am I gonna feel in 40 years? Like what the heck?
It's horrible. Like I saw this thing. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like, am I Rice Krispies because I snap, crackle, and pop when I work out? And I'm like, that is me. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
So
gosh. That is
yeah.
hilarious. No, I've never seen that, but I love that you just shared that. So now I always like to end by asking, like, what is your advice for actually before I ask you, I do want to say thank you to everybody who submitted questions. That was so cool. Great questions, and I loved everything that was brought up. So that was just super cool. And now I want to ask you, advice for people who are interested in competing but haven't competed yet, and then advice for people who are going after their pro card.
Okay, let me think on that. So advice for people coming to the sport. I would say if you're brand new to the sport, entering it, just come into it with positivity. Come in knowing you're going to evolve in some way. And also know, like, it's okay to ask for help and learn and grow. I don't know, just learn and grow, and have fun with it. And if you're not having fun with it, or if you're feeling like, maybe more of the time you're kind of like, maybe recognize that it's not for you, and that's okay. It's not for everybody, but make the most out of it and enjoy it, because it can be something so amazing. And you can turn it into something so amazing. I really believe that, because there are genuine people that want you to succeed and love it so much that it can pour out onto you and change you in some sort of way. Yeah, so I think for new competitors, just go into it knowing you're going to get some growth or something out of it. And it might not be what you expect, but find it and freaking roll with it. And then for national competitors trying to get your pro card, I would say, I'm trying to think, like, I really want to make sure I say what I want to say. It sounds so cheesy, but sometimes I wish I could go back to it, because it was so exciting it's so exciting at the pro level, because I feel like I'm starting over every single show. But just enjoy those moments, and don't be upset if you don't get it. Because if you truly love it and you're doing it for the reason, like your why, I promise you will get it when it's time. I know when I was trying so hard, I look back and I wasn't ready. I can tell you, when I look back at every single show, I can tell you, nope, I was not ready for it. And I thought I was. Oh, I thought I was. But how it played out for me, and when I turned pro, I was ready, and I was mentally ready. And all those times leading up to it had a purpose and a meaning, and just appreciate it and try to find that within. And if you love it, don't stop. That's my biggest thing. Just please, please, please do not stop, and know that if you're doing it for the right reasons, you will get it. I promise. I promise, I promise, I promise. You will get something out of it. Some sort of amazing self-growth, some sort of opportunity. There's so many opportunities, right? Like, yeah. I mean, even if it's an opportunity to meet someone really super rad, you're going to get that opportunity. Like, there is so much opportunity in it. You can't just be like, I didn't get my pro card and I'm giving up and blah. Like, you got to find the love for it and find that little lining, because I promise you, if you look hard enough, there was a lining. And if you don't see it, I will go and find it for you, because there really is. Like, even if it's your makeup looked bomb that day and then you went out that night and talked to a hot guy and he appreciated your bomb makeup, like, that's a silver lining. Good for you, girl. Like, there is always a silver lining. So just find it and focus on those, and know it will lead to something good if you're doing that.
Mm.
So does that make sense? Was that so
Yes.
cheesy? Like,
No. No, it was beautiful. I love that advice. Yes, amazing. Just taking it in, and I have a feeling that's going to hit home for a lot of people listening, and I just appreciate you taking so much time with us today and answering questions and having, an audience that has so many questions and just really, chatting up, laughing, giggling. I'm so grateful for this time, and I just want everyone to, of course, say thank you as well. So, where can they find and connect with you?
oh, okay. So that I'm like, here's my phone number. No,
No.
I would totally give it out. So yes, my social media, my Instagram is Alexandria Ross with a little underscore. And then I do have Facebook, and it's my name, Alexandria Ross. And honestly, like, please, if you're out there and you're feeling like icky or struggling, like I really want to encourage people to find like happiness and opportunity within the sport and a silver lining, because there is one. So reach out. I will message you back. I promise. I talk to everybody. And I want to connect with people and help people. So I'm here for it.
I love
Yeah.
that. And like I said, I really, really appreciate you. I appreciate the time you've spent here. And to everybody listening, I'm going to make sure all that information is on the show notes page. So that's always able to be found on celestial.fit/podcast, along with other announcement, news, events, anything you want to check out. You can also always message me too. So all of that is on the show notes page. And with all of that being said, I really appreciate you guys tuning in, for sharing, for spending time with us, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode of Speak It Off.
Thank you, guys.